March 20th, the very first day of spring, and I'm going to make a declaration right now, and I will say that at this point, March 20th, this is the first time working on this project that I've hit a bit of a wall. I've been at this now for 4 months, and everything has been going very smoothly up until now. Honestly, I'm surprised I got as far as I did. I did not expect to even get 4 months of really good, really awesome writing done. I'm very, very surprised. But I've hit a wall. So at this point, I've hit the wall. I am stuck. And we're going to have to basically just kind of get the gears in place and try to push our way through this year. What's happened is it's simply a revision right now of the first story that I worked on back in December. So back in December, I started kind of like the first story in the collection. It's not technically because I've had other ones long before this written that I've just kind of reworked for the collection, but for our purposes, we'll just say that it's the first one. I am now in the editing phase of it, and the second half of that story needs some good overhaul in terms of the prose. There's a section of about 2 or 3 pages where the prose just really is not strong at all, and it's a scene that has a lot of movement and a lot of action, which is, for me, that's usually one of my weaker areas, to be honest. Is anything where there's a lot of movement, a lot that's going on. It's very easy for me to fall into the habit of just doing, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, like almost writing in sequential order there of just the facts of what's going on, and it makes for really boring and really unengaging prose. And so for me, that's going to be, I think, the main challenge that I'm going to be having, at least going forward here for the next, I don't know how many days, but at least for the short term, that's going to be my challenge moving forward here. Certainly nothing that terrible, nothing that egregious by any means. It can be fixed. Again, if this is the challenge, there's ways to fix it. The main thing is going to be just doing sentence overhauls, but this is the first one. This is the first big challenge that I have faced so far. It seems pretty small in comparison to what you could face along this pathway. One of the big advantages, I think, of doing shorter fiction, and in my case doing a collection of short stories, is that you don't have to worry too much about the structural side of things. There's not a whole lot that needs to be worried about in terms of making your outcome, like your premise and your payoff work. There's not too much fear in having your secondary characters come alive and all that stuff. A lot of these things that are done in novels on structural things are more of a challenge because there's so much pages to fill, because you've seen these characters for so many pages, because there's such these big complex sort of plots that are laid out that you have to foreshadow along the whole path. In a much smaller format like a short story, these corrections there's not nearly as much page space being given up for these things, so you don't have to go through and sift through pages of trying to find out, did I on page 10, did I show this thing that's going to come back at page 205 or whatever. You don't have to worry so much about the structural, side of things, because short stories tend to be pretty linear. They tend to be pretty laid out. If you've done it correctly, I should say at least the first time, these things tend to be pretty... The direction of it tends to be pretty simple. It's the prose that often is a bit of a challenge with short stories, because you don't have a lot of room to wiggle with. You can't filibuster for several pages in a chapter, like you could potentially with a novel. Every word's gonna more or less be justified to be in it to keep your word count low. And so going through and making a lot of these changes, these line edits, on a short story, it's meticulous. It's a project that you're going to tinker with for a long time and go through and make several changes. I've just, again, been fortunate enough that I've been sort of humming along pretty well, and it's only been, like, again, it's been 4 months, and to finally have hit this first big wall, I think that's pretty good. What this means going forward is that over the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to revise these sentences and try to get it done. My goal is to have this draft done by the end of the month, and then we can go into April. That'll be the last 2 months of my project, and then I'll be putting it aside for the summer. But with April and May, this is going to be all about just closing out what I've already done. So it's going to be about getting these stories that I've already started working on to get them polished and ready to be submitted. It's going to be about just kind of closing things out. I'm not going to spend too much time working on any kind of newer stuff. I don't anticipate. So that's what we're looking at here, is just getting this draft done, setting aside for maybe like a month or so and coming right back to it again. We'll see what happens. We'll see what I can actually get done by the end of May. If I can have 2 more short stories that are completely done, ready to be gone up, that'll be awesome. That'll give me 3 stories to have completed since December. That for me is excellent. It's a good number, and it's something where I can come back to it in the fall and kind of start fresh here and continue along with this project and see kind of where we will be at.